All right, welcome to the 31st episode of the Revolutionary Code, where we bring you the truth about how governmental politics actually works in every facet of human existence and how that affects our people, Black people here in America. I am your host, Brother Tamani Mondani out of Houston, Texas. I am the direct revolutionary product, the one Carter and Bayou Chewy of the Shrines of the Black Madonna, and the indirect revolutionary product of one Albert B. Clegg, African named Jeramogi Baby Ajuman, the father of liberation theology and the founder of the Shrines of the Black Madonna. I am also the founder of the Black Gold Nation movement. My co-host, the National Director of Political Strategy and Implementation for the Black Gold Nation movement, and the chairman of LACE, Liberation Advocates for Community Empowerment, the intellectual gangster, corporate grassroots revolutionary, and master domino assassin from Shreveport, Louisiana, aka The Boot, Brother Craig B. Lee. Brother Craig, how you doing this evening?
I am Irie. I said, just getting back from Dallas, Texas on this Monday, and it has been an interesting week so far, I can tell you.
Cool, excellent. So before we get started this evening, let me tell you a little bit about the Black Gold Nation movement. Our ultimate goal is to put ourselves in a position by which we can own and control the environment where we live, because we believe that when other people control our environment, we lose, period. When other people control any aspect of that environment, we always find ourselves on the bottom in that regard. So when we allow other people to control the economic system, the educational system, the political system, the spiritual systems, we always find ourselves on the bottom of those systems. So since we no longer want to continue to lose, and since we no longer want to be on the bottom, we believe that we absolutely must put ourselves in a position to own and or control the space where we live. And that is why we are here. Brother Craig and I are not just here to inform or educate you. We're here to inform, educate, motivate, mobilize, organize, and build. Everything we say and everything we do is an effort to bring our people together, to find the right people, to put them on board in a movement that's about building a nation within this nation for our people, period. Everything that happens to us happens because we do not have the power to stop it. So we want to make sure that we are doing everything we can do to build that power. Tonight's show title is The Illusion and Misunderstanding of Government's Role in Our Empowerment Journey, a Roland Martin case analysis. So we're going to jump right into the show. The setup is that Brother Roland interviewed a young man by the name, make sure I get his name right. I think his name is King Randall. King Randall, cool. And they were talking about we're going to watch the video, and I'm going to play it, pause when Brother Craig tells me to, so he can comment and critique. Brother Roland he's trying to he is asking the brother questions that is not the brother's thing, but because the brother says he's a conservative, Roland is hitting him with all these Republican questions, which is not his thing. And the brother is doing some very, very, very powerful empowerment work. He's very young, but there's some things that he doesn't understand as it relates to politics as well. So we're going to go through that interview. And again, Brother Craig will let me know when I need to pause it so that he can comment, and then we'll go from there. Brother Craig, do you want to say anything about the setup of the interview before I get started?
Oh, no, that's a good setup. So we can go right into it.
Cool. All right. Let me get my screen set up on this end, get it maximized, and give me a quick second to share the screen. All right. I need two people to verify that you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
Cool. One more person?
Yes.
Cool. Thank you. I'm sure that's Patrice or Mary, but thank you. All right, I'm gonna press play real quick. Just you guys let me know if you can hear it as well. Yeah, where's that play button?
Joining us right now is King Randall One, founder of the X for Boys organization based out of Georgia. So
can you guys hear it okay?
Yes.
Cool. All right.
King, explain.
Uh-oh, don't know what happened there. Let me go back.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Joining us right now is King Randall One, founder of the X for Boys organization based out of Georgia. So, King, explain why in the world you're conservative, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, please explain to me why this bill, why Republicans are pushing for a voter suppression bill when last year we saw record turnout in Georgia. Record turnout. So, why would they want to restrict voting when you just had record turnout in Georgia?
Well, let me start off by saying you had me mistaken. I'm not a Republican. I do consider myself conservative.
No. Actually, I didn't say Republican. I said you're conservative.
Okay.
I said you're conservative.
Right, absolutely.
That's what I said.
Right. Yeah, I was saying that because you called me a Republican on Twitter. However, with this particular bill, I don't consider voting my particular fight. I do consider voting an asset to us and maybe something we can use as a tactic to help. But as far as us pushing voting all the way out, like voting is going to be some systemic change for the black community, to me is not the way to go. If you look at the human anatomy of the body has as many different parts. And I do respect you guys' fight, in regards to voting, but I don't consider myself fighting for the right to vote that much. Because
do you not vote?
We hadn't got anything.
Do you not vote?
Government. Yes, sir. I vote. Absolutely.
Okay, so when you say you guys' fight, first of all, there are multiple fights, there are multiple issues we can be concerned about. Voting is one of those issues. Are you not concerned that Republicans in your state are trying to restrict access to the ballot for no reason other than they are pushing the lie that Donald Trump also pushed?
Right, absolutely. I understand exactly what you're saying. However, again, that's not my fight. I believe.
No. I asked you a question. And the question is this here. Do you believe Republicans in your state are wrong to be pushing this voter suppression bill?
Can you give me the list of things that's all on the bill? Because I know you said the voter ID.
Well, no. Here's a perfect example. This particular bill right here gets rid of no excuse absentee balloting. Republicans in Georgia passed no excuse absentee balloting 15 years ago, thinking it was going to help them. They're angry because you had people who voted for Joe.
So to set this up, Roland Martin is already completely out of mind because this young brother is not on this show to talk about voting issues in Georgia. He and his squad created a school for African American boys. And that's why he continues to say that's not his fight. And he attempts to show that there are different parts of the anatomy and they're focused on their particular lane. And his answer is not sufficient to Roland because Roland is indirectly trying to discount him because he's not in the lane of the voting process and advocating against this thing. And all he's trying to let you know is this is not my fight. So I just wanted to say that because this is where Roland is trying to discredit him before he even talks about what he's really there to talk about.
Biden and Kamala Harris, and also John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock won. So they're changing the law because they're angry they lost at the ballot box. But for 14 years, it was fine until last year. Is that, again, do you consider that to be egregious on the part of Georgia Republicans? Why would they change the law because they lost? How about making a better argument for the voters?
I agree with you. I do. I agree with you. I'm not against you there. I definitely think that is an issue that I believe you guys could fight. But that, again, voting is not my issue to fight. I believe.
So what's your issue to fight?
My issue, I fight for young black men before they die. And that's what I do in my organization. I do teach them to vote, but I don't tell them that voting is going to be the be all end all.
No one says the be all the end all, but it's a part of it.
But you guys promote voting like it's just going to change like the systemic outlook of the black community. That's not where it's at. We have to get out and go do for self in our own communities.
So,
And
so define do for self.
When I say do for self, you shared one of my tweets, my videos, and I was actually a big fan of yours, but you shared one of my tweets when I said black people need to stop begging the government and go and do for self out in our communities. You shared the video and called me an idiot. I didn't see anything idiotic about that statement at all.
So when you say do for self, like what? Explain that.
Okay. For example, here.
Stop right there. So, yet again, and this is where Roland Martin is a horrible journalist. He really is a horrible journalist. He is completely subjective as it relates to the Democratic Party. He receives contributions for them, so he can't be objective. And again, this dude is not even here to discuss the voting issue. And I think Patrice put in the chat a bait and switch, and you're absolutely correct, Patrice. It's a bait and switch deal. But watch how this young brother handles this Uncle Tom ass Negro. It is so beautiful how the brother handles this. And Roland Martin called this dude an idiot. And remember, they have him being structured as conservative to now try to tie him to the Republican Party. And he's already letting it be known, I'm conservative, but I'm not rolling with the Republican Party. And he's letting it be known, I vote. I encourage my young male participants in our program to vote. But at the end of the day, voting within the process of how Roland Martin and focus on it is not the end all to be all. And he's actually correct on that, because unless you get grassroots people in these positions, it's not going to matter that we just quote unquote vote. So it's more complex than that. Keep on going, Tomorrow.
Here in Albany, Georgia, we complain about our school systems a lot. Many of our young men can't read. They have very horrible literacy rates. We don't have any rehab programs here for juvenile offenders. What I decided to do, I started a program 2 years ago, decided to do for self, and I started taking children into my home. I started taking custody of kids from juvenile court, and I started molding them and training them and teaching them skilled trades, etc. Now I'm 21 years old. I just purchased a school here in Albany, Georgia, to combat us being in the government-funded schools that are not teaching our children what they need to learn. So that's what I mean by do for self, simply getting up and going out and do it.
So
I beat the stereotype that I'm young, black in America, and I can't do anything because somebody's holding me down. Absolutely not.
So question.
Teenagers went and go ahead. Me and some teenagers went and bought a school, and we just bought a school bus simply from going out and doing work. We decided to go fix our own communities. I'm not expecting anything from no politician. I'm not expecting nothing from Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or nobody. We're gonna go do it for ourselves, and that's what I believe we need to be doing. I can vote, sure, but nothing's gonna change in our community.
So you went to the juvenile court system. Is that not government?
Absolutely.
So when you say purchased a school, and this school is going to be what? Private school, charter school? What kind of school is it going to be?
No, it will be independently owned. This will not be funded by the government.
No, that's why I asked you. So it's going to be a private school?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a boarding school.
A boarding school. And then for the folks to be able to afford to send their kids to the boarding school, what kind of mechanisms are they using in Georgia? Their own funds? Are they using school vouchers? What are they using?
I can't hear you. Say that again for me.
I said, what mechanism are they using to send their kids there to pay for the school? Their own money, or are they utilizing vouchers from the Georgia government?
Absolutely. So for our school, we're financed completely by donors. We have many donors that have given yearly endowments to our school that will be able to pay for these students to come to our school for free. Many people believe in our mission, and we're making sure that young black men, where we live, where we don't have any rehab programs for juvenile offenders to even get out of jail and stay out of jail, we have people that believe in our mission that are trying to send children to the X for Boys for free. We have many people that are trying to send kids to this boarding school to be able to take care of themselves. That's what I mean by doing for self. We got to simply get up and do it.
So you don't believe that government policymakers play any role whatsoever in being able to impact the lives of black boys and others in Georgia?
If we take them out of that government system, we don't have to worry about that. I keep saying.
How is that? So hold on. So here's the question. Hold up. Here's the question. How do you remove someone out of a government system when?
Did you say
All
pause?
right. So this is where Tamani is saying that the young brother doesn't totally understand, and he doesn't. And again, I applaud his energy. I applaud his tenacity, but he doesn't understand the total dynamic. Now, if Roland was not trying to make him look bad, but now focusing on elevating him, i.e., the Barack Obama teachable moment, this would be a great marriage, because right now he doesn't understand all of the ways that government impacts your life, and so he's making a very naive and immature
Government system.
Right now.
I'm sorry, that's my mistake.
Okay, being literal, absolutely, we all live in a government system. Absolutely. However, you can do things to remove most government from your life.
How?
As far as trying to get yourself off of food stamps,
How?
trying to get yourself off of welfare. You got to go work. You got to get jobs. You got to get out here and go and do it.
So hold up. So hold up. So I'm just curious. So if somebody doesn't have a job, are they not applying to government for unemployment benefits or insurance?
Absolutely.
So how can that person remove themselves out of government when that's what government provides?
Absolutely. Well, my thing is trying to make sure you're not allowing the government to finance your whole entire life. As long as you're giving somebody the right to feed you, you're giving them the right to starve you as well. People are living their whole lives off the government systems. It was the day the government decide, well, we gonna cut food stamps, we gonna cut this and cut that. What we gonna do? We have people out here living off those systems. So I believe we in teaching our people how to go survive without the government. That's my biggest thing.
But again though, you keep saying I'm trying to understand. You keep saying how to survive without the government.
So earlier in our spiritual conversation, I used the term one-dimensionalism. And although the young brother has come up with a great concept, he's being one-dimensional in his thought process. Although he's doing a great thing, he's not understanding the totality of government. But he's looking at government only from a negative perspective. So he's not factoring in how if grassroots people took over the local political infrastructure in Albany, how working with a concept that he has would now be beneficial, because he's doing one school. So let's just say this school could accommodate 1,000 children. And while the tape is going on, I'll pull up Albany, Georgia, to see how many children are in their school system and the demographic. But let's just say they have 20,000 students in their school system, and 80% of them are African American, which is his target audience. So that would mean that 16,000 children are in need of better quality education, all of the things that he's talking about providing. If his school can only accommodate 1,000 of those children, that means 15,000 children are not receiving his quality education. So what can now happen? If he understood how to leverage grassroots people to work together to take over the school system in Albany, his school could become a prototype for the public school system in Albany, which is partly what Roland is hitting on. But again, he's encountered it from an attacking standpoint and not even acknowledging the fact that what the brother is doing is a positive thing. And lastly, before we go back, what this brother has done is already exposed the corruption and hypocrisy of Umar Johnson. because he's 21 years old, and they just did this over the past year. Umar's been talking about doing the damn school for over 10 years and still ain't did it. And he has raised over $1 million and still hasn't opened the damn school. So he is to be applauded for that. But just like voting is not the end all to be all, just to vote, just opening up one school is not the end all to be all, because there are more complexities involved in the process. Keep on going.
You act as if a young black boy who comes into your program will not interface with government in any way. They will interface with government still driving down the street. They will interface with government trying to get a driver's license. They will interface with government trying to get a voter ID. They will interface with government trying to apply for financial aid to go to college. So they're going to interface with government in many ways. The point I'm saying is, doesn't it make sense that black folks should be engaged in a political process to where we are impacting policy that also impacts us? Or are you saying that doesn't matter at all?
I only believe that we should breed politicians in our community that we raise ourselves. People that are funded by white Democrats.
Beautiful. 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 That's it right there. That's it.
But he should have led out with that, but now being pressed, he was able to come up with it. You see what I'm saying? The brother is sharp. Okay, Ken Penn brought it up. They have 12,000 students. Put that back up, Ken. Put that back up. What you just put up. Then Ken said they had 12,900 and some odd students in that. Okay. Number of, I don't think Auburn is that big, 600 and some thousand students. I don't think Auburn is that big. I mean, look at your numbers again, Ken. But anyway, this is beautiful. I mean, so now he's talking about what we're focused on in the Black Gold Nation in terms of cultivating grassroots political advocates to now take over. So this is beautiful. Go on and continue.
White Republicans alike. If you were funded by anybody white, I don't believe you have the best interest of our community at all. I don't care who you are. Whether you be Raphael Warnock, John Ossoff, Kelly Loeffler, or what's his name, the other guy that was running. I don't care who you are. You don't have the best interest of the black community at heart, because we are not funding their campaigns fully. I believe that we have to raise our own politicians, which is what we're trying to do in our program. We are going to put them in government. Some of them want to go run for positions, but we know we bred them in our communities.
But hold on. See, not
nothing white Democrats that came and gave us and spent millions of dollars on all these ads and got folks all riled up about these guys for you to come keep black people remain a Democrat Party and the Republican Party side chick. They only come to the black community when they want our vote to get off and then disappear. We don't never see them again.
But here's the thing that's again that's interesting. You just offered a contradiction. You first say you want to remove people from government, but then you say you're raising them to run. So which one is it?
When I say remove from government, I'm saying keep as much government out of your life as possible.
But how are you raising people to run for office?
Say it again.
How are you then raising people to run for office if you don't want folks involved in government? So here's the deal. Okay, how about this? Okay. So the young men that you're raising up to be in government, how in the world are they going to be able to be effective when you have Republicans who are passing voter suppression laws, and then you're saying, well, that's really our issue? Aren't they making it harder for the very folks you trying to raise up to get elected?
I didn't say our issue. I said that's not my issue that I'm fighting.
But like you just said you're raising up politicians.
Again, that's for when the children, what they want to do. I'm not raising them directly just saying, oh, you got to go be a politician. No, for the kids that want to go in that area, I have mentors for them to go into that area.
But shouldn't we be fighting voter suppression laws that make it harder for them to get elected?
Mr. Roland, if you can't go get what?
Now stop right there. See, again, this is, as Patrice said, a bait and switch. I'm now looking at the demographic of the Albany school system, which is called the Doherty school system. All right. It is 14,479 students. 89.6% of them are African American, 5.3% Caucasian, and 5% other. 81% of them are economically disadvantaged students, and you have 10% students with disabilities. So let's just say he has 1,000 students, because I doubt if it could be that large starting off. You got to build up to that. But let's just say it's 500 students. So we're talking about roughly 13,000 students in that district are African American. Even if he has the greatest school in the world, it's only serving 500 people. So currently, Roland is asking him about current situation, and that's not his fight. His fight is on doing what Booker T. Washington did in creating Tuskegee Institute. But he just hasn't articulated it in the most appropriate manner. But Roland Martin should be asking him in a positive manner, but he's going in the paint on him to try to make him look bad. Continue.
What's the problem with black folk going to get voter ID?
No, the issue is not a voter ID.
Okay.
No, wait. Hold up. Stop. Hold up. You just said, what's the issue? If you live in rural Georgia, and you've seen the closures of driver's license offices, and you don't have transportation, then the question is, how are you then accessing it? In Texas, for instance, when Texas passed its voter ID law, they showed that 600 to 800,000 African Americans and Latinos were going to be negatively impacted by the voter ID law in Texas because of where they could go.
The brother is not on the goddamn show to talk about voting.
Right.
He doesn't want to talk about the brother's school. He wants to talk about voting, and that is not this brother's focus, nor is it his strong suit. So again, it is a program to make this brother look bad, but who ended up looking bad is Roland Martin. Continue.
In Texas, they said that you could not use your state-issued student ID at a state institution, but if you had a hunting license, you could. In Pennsylvania, when they passed their voter ID law, they required you to actually travel to an office to fill out a form to say you could not afford a license, an ID. You then have to go back home, and then once they've certified that, come back. There was some 20% of elderly who couldn't do it. There are black people in Georgia who do not have birth certificates who cannot get a voter ID. So that's just one issue with the voter ID. But in Georgia, Republicans, hold up, that's just one issue. In Georgia, right now, Republicans want to make it a crime to hand out water and food if folks are waiting in line to vote. Does that make sense?
Okay, if they gonna do that, then how about before people go and vote, y'all go set up like you usually do and go hand it to them before they go get in line? It's a way around that. Like, wait.
You do realize there were massive lines in Georgia and other states, but again, you still dance around my question. Why legislate?
Patrice just made a great point. This is really one great example of why young people don't want to deal with a lot of so-called elders, and most of them ain't elders, they're just old-ass people. That's why they want to deal with it. Because this brother is doing a positive thing, but because Roland, and just so you know, this week, I think after this came out, Roland Martin immediately, I think, went to Jack Yates and donated money to a scholarship fund for broadcast students who want to go into broadcasting, because he knows, his people know, he messed up on this, buddy. So they're trying to do damage control because that dude was not on here to talk about no damn voting. Okay? Again, he was not there to talk about no damn voting. But Roland Martin is going to put it on him. Now, had he been well researched, he would have been able to flip this on Roland Martin's sellout ass to let it be known when he was on CNN and Shirley Sherrod, who was a worker for the USDA in Georgia, this sellout Negro helped get her fired along with the Breitbart news agency. And then when it turned out that it was all a hoax and Obama had her fired, they came back and apologized. Y'all can pull up the story of Shirley Sherrod and Roland Martin. Even Breitbart came out and had to admit it. CNN ends up asking him, do you want to apologize? And that Negro went to the mat to not want to apologize. This dude is a bad journalist, bottom line. And he look at what he's wearing. Kenta cloth sweater, trying to let you believe that he's down with the black folks. But he's showing you he ain't. Keep on going. It's sad.
Handing out of water and food. Why?
Well, I don't know. You got to ask them that.
No, you the conservative. You in Georgia. Hold up. These are your lawmakers, not mine. These are yours.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, how much sense does it make to outlaw water and food?
I don't see why they're doing that. That's something. That's a question for me too. I don't understand why.
So do you also think it's wrong for Republicans in Georgia to restrict voting on Sundays when they're specifically targeting black people who do souls to the polls? Is that good or bad?
Well, I didn't see the law that said they're directly targeting black people, but I would assume
who votes on Sundays?
To the polls.
More black people are participating in voting on Sunday and souls to the polls. Mm-hmm. That's targeting black people. So you think that's
okay?
So you also think that's a bad idea, right?
I would think that's a bad idea, but if that push come to shove, we got to vote on another day. If we really want to vote, we got to go make it happen.
Push come to shove. What about ballot drop boxes? So, for instance, they're going to require them to be located inside of early voting locations, which means that you can only drop off your ballot when the voting location is open. If it's closed at 6 and you get off work, you can't drop it off. As opposed to right now, it's 24 hours. If you can just come by like a mailbox, drop it off. Good or bad?
That's bad. I agree. That's bad. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's bad.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, I agree.
Got it. You also have they restrict early voting buses to emergencies, meaning if you said y'all bought a school bus, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That means if you decided to say, hey, we're going to provide a public service to the people in Albany and drive them to the polls, this law says you can't do that.
Mm-hmm. That's a problem.
So, for the things I mentioned is a problem. Okay, all right. Do you also think it's a problem?
See, now what that law would be focused on, would be public school buses. Okay? And he's establishing a private school. So more than likely that would not even apply. But again, this young brother is not on this program to talk about all of what Roland is talking about, but he's trying to tie him in to the Republican Party. That's because he said he's Republican. And the whole reason he's saying he's conservative, he's trying to focus on the fact he ain't down with the homosexuality. He ain't down with all of the stuff that the Democratic Party is pushing. And this sellout ass Negro is trying to bash him, and he ain't even on the damn program to talk about it.
Yeah, and Roland keeps trying to put him in the Republican. He's acting like this brother is a staunch Republican running for office, supporting bills, trying to put policy in place. And the brother said, I'm a conservative. I am not a Republican. But like Patrice said, bait and switch. Like a motherfucker. It's sad, man. It really is. It's unfortunate.
It says bans outside funding of elections from nonprofit organizations. So you have governmental entities who say, hey, we can't afford X amount of workers. You got nonprofits out there, nonpartisan, where people actually fund staff and things along those lines. Republicans in your state say, oh, we're going to outlaw that too.
Okay.
Good or bad?
That's a problem.
All right. So disqualifies provisional ballots cast in the wrong precinct. So let's say you weren't aware they switched the precinct and you actually voted in that precinct. This law says, sorry, forget about it. It gets thrown out.
I mean, I wouldn't say that's good or bad. It's just something you got to pay attention to.
Yeah, but you got to pay attention to. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
They set a deadline to request absentee ballots 11 days before election day. Why? I mean, like, what's the big deal?
You got to ask your lawmakers.
They're actually passing it, but you're a resident of the state. Aren't you concerned about the laws that these folks are passing that are going to have an impact on the people there in Albany, Georgia?
Absolutely. However, that's not my fight. We have people fighting for that, but I'm not fighting for that. I mean,
you're not fighting for it. Do you care?
Okay.
Do you care?
Yeah, I care, but I know I got people like you and other.
You just got to say care. You just got to say that's not my fight.
And if he didn't care, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. So so it's like Roland doesn't seem to realize, and I'll be shocked if he doesn't know.
Because he's trying to now embarrass the young brother and get the focus off the damn work and now get it on to the voting process, but the brother is letting it be known. Keep on going.
Yep.
People around here fighting for our right to do that. But the body has many different parts. That's not my fight.
Gotcha. So if you're trying to move folks to change things, they're in Albany, and this is one of those things that is a part of our process, is a part of way of life, meaning you can be out there, you can have your own business, you can do for self, you can have an urban farm, you can do all those sort of different things. But if Republican lawmakers in Georgia are making it difficult for you as a citizen to be able to participate in the electoral process, should that not be contested? Should that not be fought? Yes or no?
I believe it should be fought. If we do find issue and fault with that, I definitely believe we should stand up and go fight for that. The people who do fight for that, but that's not something I fight for. Again, that's just not my fight. I know we have people here that are doing that and that are fighting for different injustices, but that's not my area of injustice. Body has different parts.
You talked about getting donations from various people. Do you think it's a...
And this is something else that the young brother doesn't realize. By him saying, that is not my fight, that highlights the fact that he doesn't understand that politics is your fight. Politics has to be your fight, especially if you want to have something as important as a school. You have to be politically engaged, because if you're not, the lack of your political connectedness could destroy your school. Or if you are politically connected and you understand it, it can make your school the beacon of light that he wants it to be. So it's unfortunate that he doesn't understand that, but he's 21.
Yeah.
And he started the school. I mean, like Roland, he completely missed the mark.
But to his point, somebody, what he's saying is that's not his primary focus.
I got it.
Organization.
Yeah.
Now I would have framed it differently in terms of saying it's not our fight, but that's really what he's talking about. It's the same thing with Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington, when he created Tuskegee Institute, they were not focused on the dynamics of voting, okay? Right. It's not to say that he didn't encourage his people to try to get in the process, but he tried to get them to do what they did it. This brother is coming up with a Booker T. Washington type model.
That's right.
But the primary focus is on our people getting up off their ass and doing
something. That's right.
Part of your fight if African American businesses are not getting their fair share of city, county, and state contracts, because if Black businesses are able to actually get their fair share of taxpayer dollars with contracts, they actually can create and grow businesses and build capacity to help fund initiatives like yours. So does that matter?
Yeah, absolutely. That matters. Yes.
So, but that's also tied to government. So, so would you be willing to work with folks who are petitioning government to increase the capacity of black businesses in getting state contracts?
Ask that question again for me.
He never said he would not work with people
And
on changing the policy. He goddamn it said that that's not their fight.
right, and he's already said, I got people working on that.
Would you be willing to fight with others to grow the capacity of black businesses to get?
Now he changed it up. That wasn't the initial question. He didn't say what you'd be willing to fight with those instances. See, now you're trying to draw him in off of his objective. That wasn't the initial question. Go back a minute and listen to this. Watch how you try to mess him up.
You want to go back a full minute?
About a minute. Yeah, about 30. Yeah. All right, right there. Let's see.
They actually can create and grow businesses and build capacity to help fund initiatives like yours. So does that matter?
Yeah, absolutely. That matters. Yes.
So, but that's also tied to government. So, so would you be willing to work with folks who are petitioning government to increase
Right.
the capacity of black businesses in getting state contracts?
Ask that question again for me.
Would you be willing to fight with others to grow the capacity of black businesses to get city, county, and state contracts where they are being able to build their businesses? Because in America, prior to COVID, you had 2.6 million black-owned businesses in America. 2.5 million only had one employee doing average revenue of $54,000. Because of COVID, we lost 41% of black businesses. And so does that petitioning government matter getting those contracts to you?
Absolutely. I definitely agree.
So that's something that you would also fight for.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm even encouraging some of my children to start businesses, so that's something they would have to look into. Absolutely.
But wouldn't you also want to have legislators who are in office who are more likely to support that initiative versus those who are against it?
Absolutely. I definitely agree.
Which means that in order to get those folks elected, we must be able to have uninhibited access to the ballot.
Right, absolutely. But as far as seeing some of the things on the bill, you know, as far as the feeding and stuff like that, I mean, we not slow, and we don't have a learning disability. I believe some of those things we can get taken care of. We can go get IDs. We could go start a black voter IDs matter and go help people go get their IDs. I mean, these are things we could do.
Yeah, but you keep going back to ID as if that's the only issue, and that's not the only issue.
That's not the only thing. I'm just saying, like, that's one of the issues.
No, that's one.
There.
That's one. I read for you about 10 of them. That's one. So that's one particular thing right there. And so, but what's interesting though is that again, government plays a role in being able to change the condition of the lives of people as well. If there are people who are restricting our access to the ballot, they're restricting our ability to be able to change the conditions of various communities. So therefore, why would we not consider that to be an important issue, just like an important issue of being able to buy a school, fund a school, and when you say do for self? Because again, the people who I hear the most who yell do for self, you know what? They get a whole lot from government.
Look at the brother. And
when you say do for self, we can't divorce ourselves from the reality of the role that government plays.
Well, this
because
is the same America.
Your school, you bought. You have to. That has to be up to code, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
That's government.
Okay.
And so we can't. So this notion of removing ourselves from government just doesn't exist because we deal with it every single day.
Well, in conservatism, we believe in less government.
No, they don't.
No government.
Hold up.
Less government.
If conservatives believe in less government, why are they passing this bill, which is more government and actually is going to cost? Hold up. This bill is going to cost. Hold up. Here's the other deal. This bill is going to cost Georgia taxpayers $30 million more to make it harder to vote. That I would think as a fiscal conservative, that's stupid.
It is. I agree.
So if you agree with that, and if you agree that it makes no sense to limit Sunday voting, if you agree that it makes no sense banning outside funding of elections, and you agree that it makes no sense restricting early voting buses to emergencies, in your view, Republicans in Georgia should not be voting for this bill and making these changes. Yes or no?
Absolutely. Considering the pros and cons, yeah, definitely. I don't believe the bill should pass. Absolutely.
Gotcha. And what do you make of black Republicans who say nothing about any of this, who frankly are silent in Georgia as this is happening?
I'm very critical of black Republicans and black conservatives when they're not addressing the issues that directly affect us. Absolutely, I don't hold my tongue on that at all. If it's an issue that's directly affecting the black community, that's hurting us, absolutely they get chastised. From Candace Owens all the way down to whoever. Everybody gets chastised. From me. I believe we definitely all of us need some criticism, whatever side you on. So I definitely don't hold my tongue, regardless of whatever party they consider themselves in, because I'm independent.
And so when you talk about building what you're doing there.
So did y'all just hear what he said? He is an independent, not a Republican.
Yep.
It's the first time he said it, but at the end of the day, it's sad. Keep on going.
What's the next step for that?
Oh, absolutely. All right. So right now we just purchased our school. And again, we're working with boys 11 to 17. And we're working with grades 6 through 12. We have to renovate our school right now. And after we get finished renovating our school, we're also going to start our summer program where we're going to teach 40 young men how to build 2 houses from the ground up. We're going to get Lowe's to sponsor this for us, and we're going to make that happen. So right now, we're just trying to get all our ducks in a row, get the accreditation that we need, so that way the children can use their diplomas to go to college, et cetera, and also do dual enrollment with Albany Technical College here where we are to, work in the skilled trades. Our biggest thing is trying to make sure those children who may not want to go to college also have a way to make it and to see that they can make it. So for me being young and 21 and doing these things for them, I just want to make sure that they know they can be young, black in America and still go make it happen regardless of the stereotypes they give us.
You spoke of accreditation. From who?
We have I think it's the Georgia Accreditation Commission.
That's government.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. See, the point I'm making here is that even with the effort that you're doing, you cannot divorce yourself from government, which means that which means that for you to be even more effective, what's important is to have individuals who are in power in government who are not standing in the way of what it is that you're trying to do. In fact, they are encouraging that. The problem is when we have individuals who are blocking the very thing that you're talking about and not providing access to folks, whether it's voting, whether it's contracts, whether it's participating in this so-called American dream. That's the fundamental problem I'm talking about. So when I say we have to fight on all those fronts, we can't say I'm going to just do for self as if I don't have to deal with this whole system. We got to make sure that there are people who are in power who are sympathetic to folk like you, but who are not trying to make what you're trying to do harder.
Right. And when I mentioned at the beginning, I said the body has a full anatomy, meaning somebody has to be the heart, somebody has to be the brain, somebody has to be your lungs. When I say I'm doing for self, I'm over here working with my children and we doing for self. You are being the lungs or the brain or what have you, and you are fighting on that end for the black community. That's not my fight. When I said that, ain't that I don't care. It's just I got stuff I'm worrying about on this side. I like for you to worry about the voter suppression and things like that, but I'm going to worry about the children on this side, and that's what I want to do. I want to help the kids. I don't necessarily worry about what's going on in government because I know people in our communities that are going hard for that. I don't need to go hard for that because other people are going hard for that for us because they believe in what we're doing. So absolutely, I definitely appreciate everybody's fight in our community. I mean, our fight has a whole body, but I can't fight every fight. I'm going to fight the one fight that I believe in and that I'm good at.
Well, absolutely. And that's why I use the phrase we all have lanes. And that's why it's important, though, for us to recognize that although I might be in this lane, for me, I'm in the media lane. I understand, though, that there's a difference between me leading a fight in another lane and providing support to somebody else in another lane.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm not going to do is diminish the reality of that or say that's not important. So what I will do is I can sit here and use what I am doing to say, hey, I can amplify what somebody else is doing. But what I'm not going to do is say that's irrelevant to what's going on, because the reality is, even in my case in media,
Stop. When the hell did this brother say that government is irrelevant?
Never.
When did he say voting is irrelevant?
Never.
He never said it.
Yeah.
He never said it. Keep on going.
I own this. It's an independent media, but guess what? The federal government spends $1 billion a year on media advertising. If we're getting shut out of those dollars, then we aren't able to grow, but other media institutions are. So I can never be of the position to say, hey, I want to remove myself from government, because the reality is this: when you're born, that birth certificate is a government document. When you get immunized, that's a government document. When you get married, first of all, that high school diploma is a government document. When you get married,
Absolutely.
that's a government document. When you get divorced, that's a government document. And when you die, your death certificate is a government document. And so my point is this here: I want to make sure that we are involved in the voting process to ensure that we are electing people who have our best interest at heart and who are passing good policy to allow us to be able to do the things that you're talking about. But what I will never do is say, hey, I ain't sweating that, because that could actually make your job a hell of a lot harder. How can folks get in touch with your organization?
Absolutely. Well, my name is King Randall. You can follow me on all social media at New Emerging King on Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat. And Mr. Roland, I definitely would love for us to stop with the Twitter back and forth battles. I'd actually like for you to come speak with my kids, or at least talk to them via Zoom. Because, like I said, I was a fan before, but I don't really care for the going back and forth on social media. So I would love for you to speak with the kids. And also Miss Erica Savage, one of your former hosts. She's a big fan of mine. And so I definitely love for you to come talk to my kids. Absolutely.
No, that's not a problem. And again, when I was in Albany, I was there 3 times helping Ossoff and Warnock, trying to rally black folks there. So I had no problem being in Albany. Got no problem speaking with the kids. And if I do, I'm definitely going to teach them about the power of voting and how to use it. So just let me know when you want to do that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. You just let me know. We'll do a back and forth offline.
All right, no problem. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
This brother showed great restraint, and he was still respectful. Remember, Roland called him an idiot, and all these particular things. And there's a way that you can now work with young people to give them a more in-depth perspective, understanding, comprehension of the process. When you got somebody like this who is willing to work with these young gangsters, knowing goddamn well, Roland, your punk ass ain't willing to do that. And you ain't gonna take time to do that. You got somebody who is willing to do that. You now engage them in discussion, what I call compassionate debate. That brother was never saying that voting was not important. He was never saying that the government was not going to be in the mix. What he was saying was, stop waiting on a check. People are out here waiting on checks from the government, pretending like they can't do. But again, that's a one-dimensional perspective that Roland was going at it from. And this is where the most beautiful thing that this brother said was that we're going to basically raise our own political advocate.
Yep.
That's what we're doing here with BGN. Okay? He's an independent, but he takes on, that's why I don't like these titles, conservative, liberal. The point is we're about the business of our people, spiritually, culturally, educationally, economically, socially, and politically. But man, that brother showed great restraint, and it just really shows it's sad.
Yeah.
And although he got attacked, that brother still offered the full.
He took the high road. That's right.
Okay. That brother, that's a dynamic young brother.
Indeed, and again, the fact that he's only 21 is really absolutely amazing. Sister Cher put a link in the chat. She says it's only about 6 minutes. She wants us to show. I guess Roland Martin is trying to do the same thing that King Randall is doing. So I'm gonna play that real quick.
But what he's now trying to do is damage control.
Oh.
On his punk ass in this interview. Yeah, I understand.
All right, let me find it real quick. Give me a second. All right.
30 plus years after he left Jack Yates.
And I've often said this, and it's true.
Award-winning journalist and TV host Roland Martin says what he learned at the legendary Third Ward High School has never left him.
Everything that I am today, everything that I've done, is a result of what started here.
Martin, whose career includes stops at CNN and TV One, now hosts a daily digital show called Roland Martin Unfiltered. But his interest in electronic journalism began when he came to Yates because of its well-regarded communications magnet program.
This is one of the short films the students produced,
which we've highlighted on KHOU 11 News.
I've often talked about the value of the HISD Magnet School program, how it prepares you for your career. So when I went to Texas A&M, literally I had already gone through undergraduate.
Martin just committed at least $25,000 for 2 scholarships at Yates, one for those interested in communications, the other for any senior accepted to an accredited institution of higher learning.
I also purposely did not create this scholarship for the 3.0 student. That was by design.
Martin says the application process will allow students to express how they think, feel, and want to contribute.
It's not a question of how great your grades are. I want to know what this is about.
A fellow Jack Yates alum, George Floyd, recently inspired a movement, not to mention this Black Lives Matter mural in front of the school. Martin would like his scholarships to spark something too.
And I hope that folks recognize that you have to give the next generation a shot.
In Houston, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
You have to give the next generation a shot. I mean, the hypocrisy of that. But he had to come now and do damage control. This is called what we call in marketing spin. So now his people have to now figure a way to spin this to now try to get some positive publicity out of this situation. So they went to work and held 25,000. Okay, cool. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to give the future generation a shot. Now you're donating 25,000, and this brother is starting an entire school.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, it's really that really was painful to watch. But as Patrice said, as Tyro said, I mean, this was classless. This was baseless. It was not a teachable deal. His whole thing was to get that brother on that show because he said he's conservative, and now try to embarrass him. But that young brother still held his own, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, it was quite disgusting. So before we get to Q&A, if we have any, as always, brother Craig, if you could only give the people one thing to walk away from the show with, what would that one thing be?
If you're going to nurture, if you desire to help cultivate young people, you can be honest and truthful with them, you know, but they need respect as well. That dude was very respectful. So we got to be about the business of cultivating young people in a way that encourages them to share their ideas. And when their ideas are idealistic or romantic in nature, and unfounded or illogical, now we can still share some truth in a way that doesn't discourage them from pursuing the passion of what they do. This brother, when you have a brother like this who is on the right track, brother, you got to wrap your arm around that cat.
That's right. That's right.
Because a lot of things, like, I know there are programs here in the city of Shreveport. I can't fight every goddamn fight. So there are certain lanes I don't get in, but I'll support, I'll show my face. But I'm like him. I can't be everywhere and do everything for everybody. Somebody called me yesterday about an abuse case going on with an elder teacher, and it's my childhood partner's ex fiance and baby's mama's sister who was abusing her mom. And I'm like,
what am I supposed to do?
what the hell I do?
Yeah.
I turn that over to the goddamn police.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not in that lane. You know, but he didn't call me. He said, damn, I called the wrong person. Because if I tell Craig, he gonna call the police. And that's no But brother, that's not my lane, brother. I'm sorry, I don't do every guy.
Gotcha. All right. So I see Brother Naru has turned his camera on. I'm going to assume that means he is ready for the first question. So with that, we're going to open this thing up. Does anybody have a question or comment, starting with Brother Naru for Brother Craig?
Yes, very good. I really did feel like some of that was a waste of my time watching that. Man, I didn't even go live, bro. Like, man, we already know what Roland Martin about. Man, he's a clown, dude. But I was really impressed by the brother, and what he talked about at the end kind of really set home with me, because a lot of times when you're out here doing this work, everybody wants you to be on their cause, you know, and if you're not with their cause, they feel like, well, you ain't doing nothing. But what the brother was really saying was like, there is so much work to be done. As long as you are doing something, you are involved in this, and that happens a lot. And we have to remind ourselves, and I know I have to remind myself of this all the time, that my cause and not everybody else's cause, and my cause is not always better than anybody else's cause. And I think that's a great reminder for all of us out here doing this work, that you know, we got to understand there's levels to this, and it's all connected. So what do you guys feel about that sentiment?
Oh, a great point, Brother Naru. I got a partner named Alvin Moore. He is the executive director of a group called Service. All right. Now, brother, they feed the homeless every damn day. I'm talking about every day, 2-3 meals a day. That's it. That's his organization.
Serving.
It was started. Okay. It was started by a white female nun named Sister Margaret. I don't do feeding programs, okay? I do empowerment stuff, right? But that's his lane, and it's a necessary lane. And so to your point, that is important, and I do consider that a form, although it's a good deed, because they do it every day and 2 to 3 times a day. That is some actual work. Is it empowerment work? No. Are they really teaching people how to pull themselves up out of their conditions? No. They're serving that particular focus, food and clothes. And since, unlike Goodwill and Salvation Army, when you donate clothes to them, they turn around and sell the clothes. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that Christian Services, they just give the clothes to the people who come see them. So yeah, I'm all for what you just said. I don't do tutoring, okay? Academic tutoring. I tutor in a different way in terms of getting out of here and getting grassroots advocates trained up. But there's a space for people to do that. And so, yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Cool.
Thank you, brother.
All right. So does anyone else have a question or a comment for Brother Craig? Anybody? It's old. Lloyd?
Yeah, nah, I just want Brother Craig real quick, just to kind of explain into the mind. I'm sure some people probably wouldn't even understand even why the young fella too. I know you probably said this on why he became a conservative, and just, you know, him kind of letting him keep derailing that point of, like, you know, keep not being able to separate, you know, conservatism from being a Republican. So, you know, and I'm sure some people be like, you know, we'll use that as an indictment, but, you know, explain the lack of government a little bit more. So
Yeah.
people were saying,
Yeah. So first and foremost, when you hear these terms like conservative and liberal, you know, they're directly connected with both of the parties, right? So you hear liberal, that's connected with the Democrat. You hear conservative, that's connected with the Republican. Now, if this young brother had a little bit more history behind him, I brought this out on a podcast yesterday with Cher and Sister Valerie, the sister who does Judge Joe Brown's podcast, blog talk show. I'm like, look, man, when our people came out of chattel slavery, they were, all of them, well, 99.5%, because you did have some retarded Negroes who actually fought for the goddamn Confederacy with they crazy retarded ass. But 99.5% of our ancestors were Republicans, okay? And our people take on a position of working hard and limited government involvement. And so that's nothing new. But the concept of conservatism in the 21st century is attached directly to the Republican Party. We've never been, even the Democratic Party, which the Ku Klux Klan came out of, that's their goddamn origin, the Dixiecrats. They were conservative and they were hardcore racist. The Republicans were hardcore racist, but the Democratic Party historically were hardcore. Well, a shift began in the early 1930s when Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected as president. And this is where you start to get the government really involved, Brother Lloyd, because they launched the New Deal. These were governmental jobs, infrastructural jobs. This is where the Social Security Department was created. This is where a lot of governmental programs started to come into place because a few years earlier, before FDR was elected, you had Wall Street having played a major game on white workers in the United States. And so that sent the country into a tailspin. So to come out of that, FDR was elected as a Democratic president, and he came up with all of these programs. And now what began to happen, a lot of communism and socialism started to attach itself with the unionization of labor, and that started to shape a lot of these policies. Some of them were good, like the 8-hour workday, the 5-day work week. All of these came out of some of the democratic connections to communist movements, labor movements, and socialist labor movements. So now you start to get this term, but for the most part, people were still focused on conservatism, whether they be Democrat or Republican. The next wave comes in 1963 when John F. Kennedy is elected. And so now we get a little bit more romanticism with Black folks, and then they really get into the Democratic Party once Lyndon Baines Johnson takes over after Kennedy is assassinated. And now you get the 64 Civil Rights Act, the 65 Voting Rights Act, and 68 Housing Rights Act. And from that point, you can just basically say from that point up to now, the Democratic Party has evolved into a lot of so-called liberal agendas that now embrace homosexuality, transgenderism, all of the things that's messing our goddamn people up, especially sitting on their ass waiting for a goddamn check from the government. So this young brother doesn't roll with that. So now, in not rolling with that, he brands himself a conservative, but what he doesn't understand, by branding himself a conservative, he attaches himself by default to the Republican Party. And so that's why Roland was constantly bashing him, but you heard him say he's an independent. So he should have really led with that. I'm an independent with concepts that do not resonate with the liberals or some of these conservatives, because as you heard him going through the process, he wasn't for none of that bullshit, okay? But at the end of the day, Roland was trying to tie into it, but he'll learn as relates to not rolling with the okey doke on these damn labels, because it's going to tie you to one or the other, the party. But this brother's an independent, and that's what we're pushing with the BGN, because both of the goddamn parties are straight trash.
Yeah, and just for the record, we have reached out to him, the young brother, to try and get an interview and a conversation with him, because if he has done that, then we can most certainly help guide and direct with a broader, more deeper understanding, because you know he obviously doesn't understand the intricate, interwoven nature of politics, and we know he don't understand plutocracy. So you know there's a lot that we can help him do with giving him this kind of information. Hopefully he'll reply and we can have the brother on the show.
Yeah.
So any other questions, comment? I'm sorry.
I do. I got one more after listening to Brother Craig. I would just like, so we know the Republican Party came out of the Whigs, but from the content you were just sharing, I just wanted to know like how fluid do you think the movement is between the Democratic and Republican parties back and forth in the last, say, 50 years or so with the changes you were just talking about? Do you think that now the people who are Republicans, a lot of them are Democrats and vice versa, or do you think it's that's kind of the question I'm getting at?
There was a flip, and that came from the Southern strategy. That was a part of the Southern strategy with the Democrats. They strategically position themselves to go after our people on the governmental program. The Republican Party traditionally is about business. It's about entrepreneurship. Their tax policies roll with that. The Democrats typically are about, governmental assistance, which makes people enable, allow them to basically be codependent on the system. So yeah, that was definitely a switcheroo, but all of them are the goddamn same. All of them are really about big government. Roland did a good job of going down those various public policy initiatives that not only would stymie Black progression in terms of voter turnout, but also create more bureaucracy that the Republican Party claims to be against. So needless to say, he was correct on that. But again, if you had somebody that was really representing the Republican Party that was there to talk about voting, okay, now you can go on and do all the grilling you want to. But both of these parties are straight trash, and they work together. this thing is very, very, very complex when you really understand how this thing plays out. But yeah, that was a big switch that went on. And most of, let me give you a prime example. Now, Ruin, this is your industry and my industry. A lot of the people hate Donald Trump, right? Because he said all negative things. Now, Naru, have you filled out your done your 2020 taxes yet for your nonprofit?
We haven't done. We got an extension, but yeah, it's coming.
All right, now check this out. You know what Donald Trump did to help you, myself, and every other person who has a 501c3, right? You know what he did while he was the president, right?
No, break it down.
He now changed. He now changed the policy as it relates to tax write-offs for 501c3s, where 50% of your taxable funds could be written off to a legitimate 501c3 to now, unless the Democrats are going to change it back, now the rule is 60%.
Are you talking about for individuals donating?
Yeah. Is that a good thing or bad?
That would be a good thing.
Goddamn right. So if you owe $10,000 in taxes, instead of you now being able to write off $5,000 to a 501c3, you can write off $6,000 to a 501c3. Okay? That is huge. But again, that happened under Donald Trump. Why is that? Why did that happen, Brother Naru?
Because Donald Trump about that business, and he probably got all his friends got
nonprofits.
If you are about the business of being a cultural social entrepreneur and you got a 501c3, and I'm gonna give you my prime example. Brother, last year, my personal income was about, it was 60-something thousand, okay? Brother Naru, I wrote off 60% of my money to what 501c3, Brother Naru?
Your own, you better have.
You goddamn right. It's wrong. So Brother Naru, out of almost 70,000, Brother Naru, how much did I pay in taxes this past year?
You sure didn't pay a whole lot. You just got taxed on what? You got taxed on 40%.
I paid $1,000.
Yeah, you got taxed on 40%.
You think I'm gonna hate Donald Trump for that, Brother Naru?
No,
you think I'm gonna hate Republicans for that?
No,
okay. Now, Brother Naru, another question. Why now is it mandatory for a 501c3 to at least file taxes within a 3-year period, or if you don't file your taxes for 3 consecutive years, they'll take your eliminate your 501c3.
Ooh, when did that I didn't even know that. I thought you had to do it every year.
That's bother you because you do it every year.
Yeah.
But guess who implemented that policy?
That must be the Democrats there, bro.
No, Barack Obama. That happened under Barack Obama.
I didn't even know that one.
Oh, yes, sir. The Republicans didn't give a damn. Okay? Brother Naru, if you're sitting on $100 million and you can now put money offshore into an offshore international account to shield yourself from a lot of overtaxation, right. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, if you got that money, it's a good thing. Sure.
Under whose administration did the policy now change where anybody who has an offshore international account must report that to the goddamn United States government? Who did that happen to?
I bet you're going to say Obama again.
Now, the average person just goes and works a job. So they don't give a damn about it.
Yeah, they don't care.
You know what I'm saying? So what the young brother is basically articulating, he doesn't see the significance of having government in your life like that. Okay? So Roland is talking about government in one manner, but government is also intrusive in another manner. So Patrice just said it. Trump was about business, and the Democrat is about having employees sitting up, getting goddamn checks at the expense of these corporations. And it's the craziest thing. That's why they got these people hyped up about $15 an hour. And now once he got in, guess what he said? We ain't dealing with that.
All right. All right. With that, we're going to close this thing out. So as always, thank you very much for making the show. We sincerely appreciate it. As I said at the beginning, this is our 31st episode. We hope to see you guys next Thursday for our 32nd episode. And always remember that what we're trying to do is get our people mobilized and organized so we can make the things that we're talking about a reality. Because as all of us know, just talking about it is not going to change anything. So with that, always remember two things. No one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely, always remember that nothing is more sacred. Not you, not me, your kids, my kids, your family, my family. Nothing is more sacred than liberation and salvation of Black people. Because if Black people don't make it, then all those people that we love also will not make it. But if we take care of the group, take care of the tribe, put the nation first, and build power for our people, then everybody that's connected will be taken care of because the nation will protect our people. So with that, God bless. Thank you guys very much. You have a good evening. Take care.
All right, thanks.
Peace.